Welcome back to the Trigger Dingus channel. My name is Seth Estrada. These are the Perfect Point 8-inch, or I guess maybe 8.5-inch throwing blades on Amazon. I've got a link down in the description. It comes in a bundle of a dozen, and it's a really great price. As far as the manufacturer, it's perfectly good. There you go. Pack 712-12 stainless steel. 6 of them come in this unfinished stainless, and then 6 of them come powder coated black. So you got a really great blend. And I thought to finish these up, I could just throw them at targets totally unfinished. They look just fine. It won't damage the finish any more or less to keep them unfinished. But why not add some paracord to the handle to give it a little bit of extra grip? The way that I want to do that is to put the loop side here on the right side of the blade, or the right edge of the blade, or the handle rather. So I'm righty, and it'll be comfortable to have a little bit more mass to fill my grip just a little bit, and then have my fingers go across the more flush side. So tactical gray paracord kind of made the most sense to me because it's going to work across either one of those color schemes, right? Against stainless steel and against black, just fine. I'm going to wrap one of each on this video so you can kind of see the difference. We can look at that at the end of the video, do a little time lapse for you so you're not bored by watching me wrap. But before we start, here's what I'm doing as a safety precaution. I've got right here, this Kirkland brand, whatever. Yes, I'm a Costco shopper, so sue me. I've got kids. It's really inexpensive. Makes my wife and like our life way easier. But I'm going to use this as a blade protector. So it's not technically a sheath, right? But it's a blade protector right there. And that way I can work really quickly with this and not have to worry about cutting my hand, because these blades, even though they're not designed to be like a dagger, you wouldn't buy this as a dagger, they do come with a perfectly sharp edge, right? And it's got a drop point on the front. This is not to be trifled with. You can really, really damage yourself if you're not careful. Let me see if I can do the fingernail test here. Anybody who looked at this and who did this in Boy Scouts knows the fingernail test proves this came out of the box very sharp. You see how it's taking off just teeny tiny shavings of thumbnail there. This is not a blade that you want to be negligent around. So I'm going to protect it by putting it into some folded cardboard there. It's enough layers of cardboard that it cannot easily rip through, and I can even grip it really tight. I'm not going to harm myself. So safety first, got that out of the way. No, I don't need eye protection. No, I don't need ear protection, thankfully. So it doesn't matter which direction I make this loop, but I want a little bit of extra slack past that point right there. Not too much, not too little. That's gonna be a gripping point for later on to pull the remaining slack underneath the wrapping that I do. If you're not familiar with this, then this will be your introduction to the basic paracord wrap. And I apologize. I think my autofocus is kind of going nuts here. See if I can lock that down a little bit. Okay. All right. So starting from the bottom, I'm going to get as close to the edge as I can. I really don't want to waste. I don't want to leave too much of the handle surface unwrapped. See right there? I could probably even get a little bit closer to the edge, maybe just a little bit. So I want this to be a nice full handle wrapping that I'm doing here. And I'm going to pull this as tight as I can. You might not be able to see it on camera, but I'm pulling this just as tight as I can. You're rewarded when it comes to like wrapping with paracord. You're kind of rewarded by keeping very little slack in the line. In the end, it helps keep the build simple, because that finishing move of pulling through with this loop is made way easier. And these are pre-cut, by the way, to 65 inches, at least for this part. For this piece, 65 inches is enough for the basic wrap like this. Would I do 65 inches for a more advanced wrap or more advanced knot tying around this? Because there are some great paracord tutorials on YouTube. No, I wouldn't. You would need more slack for other kinds of paracord wrap. But this basic wrap, 65 inches will cover it. So if you're measuring in other ways, that's 5 feet 5 inches in imperial measurement. So sorry, I don't have maybe in the description I'll put the conversion to centimeters for anybody who's interested. But you see right there on the back side, It's good and tight. It'll be more than tight enough. And for our application, for knife throwing, I don't really want this to be an extra wide grip anyway. And I don't particularly need to use this. It doesn't need to double duty as a dagger at any point soon, right? So, all right, let's take a look at that. That gets really close as far as being flush to the edge of that handle. And that, for me, is going to be sufficient for my application, put it that way. Sufficient for my needs. I just don't need it to be any more fancy than that. I'm going to take the remainder of this and pop it through that loop right there. Hold it nice and tight, and now on this side, as I pull over here, it's going to pull that underneath. Whew, here's where it gets tricky. It's going to get a little squirrely at first. And this is why I need a really good gripping surface down here across the blade, because if I don't have it, then I won't have any traction up here. Could I have cut these a little bit longer? Yes, maybe I could have. And right here, I'm just using my thumbnail and the strength of my thumb. If you feel like your thumbs or your hands, your grip doesn't quite give you enough purchase over this first little bump, then you can always use a screwdriver. Like I'll grab a multi-tool right here, but something like a broad, or like this on my Gerber multi-tool right there. That'll give me a point. It's not sharp though, to start popping this over that loop that's pulling through. I don't think I'm going to need that right now, but I've got it on hand just in case. But I'm going to keep on pulling this guy through. And if I have a hard time gripping that, again, you can just use a multi-tool with some pliers. If I really needed to, right? If I really needed to, I could just pull it through that way. Here you go. See that? That I've got to be extra cautious. But use some leverage right there over the edge of... There we go. See, so I'm using... You can see right here, gripping there, and then I'm pivoting over the edge of the knife. Now, it's maybe causing a little bit of a scratch there, but not much. This is almost fully pulled underneath the edge of the knife. There we go. And again, can I do this by hand? Yeah, probably, but why? See, I've got that right about at the midway point. I can kind of test my grip to see if I like the way that feels. And frankly, that's not bad. I really don't mind that at all. Some people will say you've got to cut the edge right here. I mean, I could leave a tassel. I can take it or leave it. I really don't care. All right, guys, that's real time building one. Let's time lapse for the black handle and finish the very ends. I think with this one, let's go ahead and try to cut and then burn. Cut and then burn. Got a little lighter, and we're going to burn the edges when it's time. But first, we want to cut the very ends here and the very ends there. Now, comparing the two, you'll see my wrapping job wasn't perfectly uniform across both right there. I was able to achieve a wrapping job just a little bit lower here, but my concern is I'm right over the edge of where I can potentially push this off if I'm not really careful. So with this one, I had that false start. Now I'm already past the point where that loop can be pushed over the very edge there. So between the two, I think I prefer having a little bit more grip as opposed to having a little bit less. However, it does give me a little bit extra purchase on both. I'm going to wrap the rest of them a bit like this, so that way there's enough, there's not too much, kind of hints at having texture, but realistically, I'm going to be throwing these from various angles. I don't need to have grip as though I'm using it as a dagger all the time. That's really more of a fallback in terms of the function of this knife. So let's cut the edges, let's burn them, let's get this thing done. Just realized I was going to run my hand potentially along the length of the outer blade, so don't really want that. Okay, that's cut nice and close. And over on this side, thought I was going to try to loop it through, but I am just going to go ahead and burn and then smooth it down against the blade. So now, because I'm no longer wrapping it, I've got the cardboard off. I don't need to worry quite so much about working with that blade, working around that blade, but I still need to be, mindful. And I'll put a link in the description to the Amazon store where I bought this paracord as well. I don't know that I am in love with the way this is working its way down. Okay, no, didn't keep it hot enough. So I've got to reheat that and make sure that it goes right down. Might have to use my fingers, which is, that's fine, but it's just a little bit uncomfortable at first. There we go. Got it nice and melted down. Heat it up. Press it down again. Whew. And as you know, you're playing with fire, so careful. But that is fairly flush now. I don't think that's going to pop loose while I'm throwing this knife. And we're going to do kind of the same thing over on this side. Move that out. I'm out of juice. Get my fingers out of the path of the flame. Oh yeah, that's getting it done. If anything, got a bit of an issue with how fast that one is going to try to. Nice. And I see I'd much prefer to use the edge of this blade because I got that hot enough. That ought to work right there. And I can smell burned nylon, so I know I've really gotten that up past 200 or 220, 230 degrees fast. And that's enough. That little bit of slack is not going to get in the way right there. So this one is done. It's complete. See the paracord job on both sides right there. This side is completely, it's blemish free and burn and kind of nice and uniform, other than the edge right there being tucked underneath. But that's going to stay nice and tight no matter how many times I throw it at our targets. So we'll see this one on the range. And here's the stainless finished piece. Nice clean cut right there. And now burn and finish. It's just going to be simpler, I think, to just burn it and lay it down nice and flat again. And come here, blade. We're going to put you there. Alrighty. Again, I let this knife do the dirty work for my thumb this time because, I didn't get burned or anything, but it's just not comfortable putting your fingertip against burning nylon if you don't have to. Alright, let's lay it down, and it's bonded enough. It's not a full plastic weld, but it's bonded enough that, again, I think we've got two nice little finishing points right there, and I can keep them uniform across all dozen knives. There are the two finished throwing knives. Tell me in the comments section, would you go all the way across, or would you keep it short the way I'm going to keep mine short? I think I've explained my reasons for doing it pretty well. They make sense to me, as these are going to be throwing knives primarily, and I don't want to work the paracord off by hitting this side with impact and having the loop here be too wide so that it doesn't have good grip. Oh, wow. Beautiful. Well, it's burned and tucked underneath at least, because that's a good flat edge. You let me know in the comments, though, as a throwing knife, how far would you wrap this handle? And links in the description to all of the materials used in this video. Thanks so much for watching. You're the reason I make this media. I love your face. I will see you in the next one.